Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our monthly talk. And tonight we have a special guest. And before we introduce our special guest, I'm going to do our reading and prayer. So, message from our daily bread: ill will have nothing to do with the useless deeds of darkness. Paul. Ill will leads to darkness. Darkness fosters stagnancy. Stagnancy preserves evil. Evil enthrones idleness. Idleness creates discord. Discord awakens pride. Pride awakens vanity. Vanity stirs up base passions. Base passions lead to a lack of discipline. A lack of discipline keeps the heart hardened. Hardness of heart imposes spiritual blindness. Spiritual blindness leads to a bias. Surrendering to the unfruitful endeavors of incomprehension through simple ill will, human beings can roll indefinitely toward the abyss of darkness. So, very strong message, short but strong message. So, I would like to invite everyone to, um, if you want to close your eyes, so we can have our thoughts connected through our prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity to work, to be together with our friends through this amazing instrument, which is the internet. We would like to invite all of the friends and spirits that are with us tonight. So together we can learn a little bit more about the Spiritist doctrine. We ask permission to begin tonight's talk. Thank you, and so be it. So tonight we have our friend Teresa. I'm going to bring her in.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good to be
Teresa,
here.
how
Oh,
are you?
okay. And you? How's
I'm doing.
everybody?
So we have, some people are saying good evening, and we have Linda, oh, and Barbara. So, Teresa, thank you for being with us tonight. Most of you may know Teresa, but for the ones who doesn't, Teresa is our dear friend from the Spiritist Center, CEFA, and Fraternity and Love, right?
Yes.
Spiritist Center, Fraternity and Love. And Teresa has been also a part of our Spiritist Center, years ago, back in 2008. So she is, really from our family, from our spiritual family. So I'm going to let you. Will you share your screen? I don't see the.
Sorry, just a second.
Okay.
It's there.
All right. So the night is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank everyone. It's so good to hear, see. I cannot see you guys, but reading your messages, your comments, they already make me feel good, embraced by you. Thank you very much. And it is really a pleasure to be here, share with you this opportunity for us to study together the Spirit's book. It's it's a blessing for to have this instrument that promote this integration, promote the possibility for us to be together, even though all the difficulties. And if you think deeply, I would say that this instrument brought us closer because, for example, As you guys know, it's a kind of tradition. I was going to Seeds of Light once a year, the the night before Thanksgiving. Now you can meet more frequently since you have this instrument, right? So I'm very thankful for being here. It's really, I thank you for the trust you put on me to bring this stud. But it's very important that we interact. So if you want to put some question or some comment, it will be good. So it will feel like you were in class and you feel more, you can participate more, and then you can develop much better the chapter. For those who doesn't know this group, this study group meets every Tuesday at 6:30. And we are continue, the chapter you're going to bring today is a continuation of this study. But if you're not part of this group yet, you're not going to miss. Anyone is able to understand this chapter in separate, and maybe after this study, maybe you're interested to participate to this group regularly, because Study the Spirit's book is bring to us so much knowledge, not only about the spiritual world, the spirit, think knowledge about ourselves, since we are spirits, right? So when you talk about spirits, and today we're going to talk about the different orders of spirits, in fact, we are talking about ourselves. So it's one more instrument we have to develop in ourselves the desire to know ourselves better. If you want to improve, you need to know ourselves better, right? So we need to have some reference, some instrument to compare that give us a possibility for us to know ourselves better. But before we go deeply in the topic, let's thank God, thank Jesus and the good spirits that are here with us, helping us to understand this chapter, and we ask them to inspire us and bring us the support we need and clarity in our minds for us to develop this topic very well. Okay? So let's go to the first question on this topic. So again, the topic is the different orders of spirits. We're going to talk how Kardec classified these spirits, how it happened, why he did that way. Okay, and the first question on this topic is the question number 96, and he asked, are all spirits equal, or does hierarchical ranking exist among them? There are varying degrees according to the level of purification that they have attained. Let's understand how he did this classification. Let's remember that everything was in the beginning. So he was talking about the spiritual world. He was receiving messages from everywhere. He was sending questions for different spiritual centers, for different mediums. And he was checking if the messages, the answers was, if there was some discrepancies, or what was similar, what was different, was a scientific method to that he applied to make sure that the answers and everything he would publish was the truth. And to having so many different messages on his hand, he starts analyzing the character of these spirits, because each message had a different language. So how will know someone? Talk with this person. So the messages or the talking he was having with these spirits, right? So he was able to see some spirits had a different, a soft, polite language. Another ones was rude. And based on this, he starts putting together the similar language. So when the spirits, the good spirits, tells him that the degrees happens according to the level of purification, they are talking about moral advancement. They are not talking about intelligence. They are not talking about knowledge. They are talking about purification. How can you clean ourselves from our difficulties, from our weakness, from our vices, and move towards to God in our development? So that's the base of the classification, the moral advancement of each spirit. So they divided in three big blocks that they called the orders. And let's think these orders. So in these millions and millions of spirits, can you believe that they are only belong to three different categories? Of course not, but they needed to divide, and those are the more important orders. But between them, between one step to another, there is a big space. And this big space, we have many different kinds of spirits. And there is no delimitation between, okay, my first step finish here, and here there is a boundary, there is a wall, and now I go to the second step. No, they interact, they mix together. That's why I brought this image of the rainbow, because with the rainbow we can see that one color goes inside the another color. There is no line dividing them. That's how the classification is. We have the main orders, but there is a variation in each one of these orders, and they interact between them. So let's go to the next question. Are the orders or degrees of purification among spirits fixed at a certain number? Or we can say, he's asking, okay, I'm in the first step. I'm going to be there forever. Or I need to go to this line to be able to go to the second line. It would be impossible, because sometimes we are in the first step, but we already have characteristics for the second step, but you still need to fix something else. So we're going to be back and forth in this division. And the answer from the spirits is the number of orders is limitless. Through there's nothing like defined lines or demarcation among them. Consequently, because fixed divisions among spirits don't exist, the number of orders can change depending on the point of view from which they are being considered. Nonetheless, if we consider the general characteristics of spirits, we can reduce them to three principal orders or ranks. The good spirits helped Kardec does this classification. He didn't do this by himself. And he tells that on the item number 100, that in fact is not a question, it is observation. He's going to describe each one of the classes from the item 100 to item 113. So he says, he says like this: we have done this with the aid of the spirits themselves, whose friendly instruction have never failed to carry us forward in the work we have started. So the spirits were there helping him to do this classification, to clarify him the best way to do. They divide in three principal orders with the intention to for us to understand better. So it's nothing like I'm gonna be there forever. They are transitory. They are not permanent. We're gonna be in each one of these steps, depending in our desire, in our actions, and how we move, how, depending how we act to evolve and move towards God. Okay, so going back to the book, we have this beautiful and clear way to explain the classification of the spirits. The spirit hierarchy. The classification of spirits is based on their level of advancement, the qualities they have acquired, and the imperfection from which they still have to free themselves. This classification, however, is by no means absolute. It is only in its totality that the character of each category is distinctly shown, since each category merges by imperceptible degrees in the one above it. Like we were saying before, the classification has only the intention to help us to have this instruction and understand better how it works. It's not absolute. Okay, we're going to be always this interchange between one step to another. And when you go to the next step, you don't see when it's happening. When evolved naturally, we are in a different step. And he brings another point for us to think. He says in some point in this chapter that doesn't make any sense for us to be discussing, oh, this spirit, he is in this position. Another one is another position. It's not permanent. So doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This discussion about for us to try to discover where the spirit is in this scale doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for us to spend time to try to discover where those spirits are. The main point is let's think about ourselves. Because when he talks about this classification, he's talking about spirits. He's not saying about discarnate spirits, period. So he's talking about ourselves because we are spirits, incarnated, but we are spirits. So this lesson, of course, belongs to us. Of course, it's a way for us to learn and to look ourselves and find ways to get rid some of our weakness and try to improve faster, because with less advices we have, happier we are. So these lessons is a way for us to check. Let's check ourselves and let's see what we can do to take the next step of this letter and go to the next step and try to find ways to overcome the weaknesses we have. We know this is a process. It's not going to happen from day to night. But when we find something that you have the real desire to overcome, we're going to find a way to work on ourselves. This detail that's keeping us in the lower level of this scale. So, but since he only had the messages, how he classified, how he identified the spirits, based on what he saw their characteristics, based on the language. By the language, they were able to see who were talking, right? When he was reading some spirit using vulgar words or express themselves ironically or make fun of someone, naturally it cannot be it cannot come from a high spirit, in a benevolent spirit, because this kind of characteristic does not belong to them anymore. We're going to be in a point where this kind of attitudes doesn't even going to pass through our minds. Using some bad words, bad thoughts towards someone is not going to be in our minds anymore when it gets certain points in our evolution. So that's how he was able to categorize its spirit, its kind of spirit. So he put together kinds of the language. And he's not talking about if the orthography or grammatically correct message. He was talking about the quality of the language, how they express themselves. Because we can express kindness and love in a simple words. And the spirits can use a very, very sophisticated language and don't say anything. So what he was looking for, in fact, was the language, how they express their sentiments, their mind. And it's not the word, it's the way the words put in this message. Okay? So looking again in the way we got involved from one scale to another, with this picture, we can see that between one order to another, there is a big space. In this big space, there are a lot of kinds of spirits. We're going to be in different stages in the same order, because you fix one part of ourselves and then you need to overcome another vice, and then you're going to, little by little, we're going to improving, and we're going to see getting closer to the next step. Again, the classification is not absolute, it is temporary. It's and the time depends on our disposition in working ourselves and find a ways to improve ourselves. That's simple like that. So the knowledge, and going back about the purification, why he's looking for, what the common point was, the moral advancement. Because we can be very intelligent, but still use our intelligence to do bad, to hurt someone, to build something that's gonna hurt a lot of people. So we can be a simple person, but our kindness is gonna overcome the intelligence, and you're gonna make many more persons happy. Okay, so let's go talk about the three orders and their subdivisions. So inside of each order, we have the classes, okay? Because like we were saying, like we were seeing here in this picture, each step has a big space, a big steps that you need to overcome to get to the next order. What is the characteristics of these spirits? The spirits on the third order are the imperfect spirits. The influence of matter predominates over spirits. There is an inclination towards wrongdoing. Spirits are unaware, proud, self-centered, and exhibit all the negative sentiments that result from such attitudes. Many people like to call this kind of spirits the bad spirits, but in fact, they are imperfect spirits. And since they have some characteristics that we see in ourselves, maybe it's easier to visualize this order of spirits than the highest one, right? Because yes, we are still very attached to matter. Sometimes we have options, we have two options, and you don't know how we end up choosing for the bad one. And we still have some, do you know, when you get angry towards someone, we still, I'm talking about myself, okay? If I'm in traffic and someone cuts me off, I still send the thought that I didn't want to send anymore. But sometimes it's go. I complain about the person. And it shows that we are improving, but we still have some difficulties, some imperfections that we need to overcome. Of course, inside of this order, there are spirits that have the intention to do bad. Really, really. They stop and they create, and then their mind is to project bad things. And there are spirits that are simply ignorant. They don't worry about anything. They just want to make fun of everybody. Doesn't matter if they are hurting the people or not. They don't have responsibility towards others. And there are spirits that are simply ignorant. They simply do nothing. So that's why it's better use the word imperfect than bad spirits. And here is the classification. We're going to see the impure spirits. Those that what Kardec calls they are malicious. They really have the intention many times to do bad. The language is hurtful. They don't care. They can use vulgar language without worrying if it's going to offend other people or not. They sometimes they have a pleasure on doing wrong. That's the truth. So you see in the end that this spirit is still very attached to the addictions, vices, and situations that bring them very, very attached to the matter. Their sentiments is still very in the beginning of the development. Let's say like this: love is something that's far away yet from their minds. They don't have this sentiment, the period of this sentiment. They still are in a very difficult situation, and that's something that you need to remember. If a spirit is in this category and they target honest people, they influence them to do bad, they're going to suffer the consequence of these acts. In the end, they're going to be suffering a lot. The ninth class is the frivolous spirits. Though these spirits, they are simply ignorant, mischievous. They are there to make fun of everyone, even making fun of themselves. They have no responsibilities. They like to irritate people. They like to, this person that sometimes keep poking you to make you to get angry. That's the kind of spirit. Let's disturb them. Let's make them to get angry. And they provoke us, and then they stay out just laughing. If you can imagine the situation, is the kind of the spirit. And their communication, they're extremely superficial. That's how it's easier to visualize them and to classify them, because their language is very superficial. The other one is the pseudo authorities. Are those spirits that they speak perfect. They have wonderful words, difficult words, very sophisticated vocabulary, but they don't say anything. They don't produce anything good. If you go a little bit deeper, doesn't say anything. That they talk, but in fact, they don't. There is no. They don't teach us anything. They don't bring out anything good. It's just. It's like reading a dictionary that you know the meaning of all the words, but don't put them together. If you don't put them together, it doesn't serve you anything. Those are this kind of spirits. And they are very, very arrogant. The pride is a big thing for them because they think they know a lot. And maybe they know a lot, but it's not useful. The other spirit in this order is the neutral spirits. They don't do good, they don't do bad, they stay there doing nothing. We learned that it's not enough not to do bad. It is necessary to do good. Many times for us to be inactive, it's already a bad thing. Because when we don't act, many times we prevent someone to be helped. And can you imagine the situation to live many years doing nothing? I don't do bad, but I don't do good. So what is the meaning of my existence if I don't contribute with anything? Those are another class of the imperfect spirits. And we found the last one. Again, remember, it's just he dividing in this class just for us to understand better. Between them could be a numerous classes. Okay, so the sixth class, he says, in fact, is not a clear-cut category, but they have some similarities. He put together the spirits that like to make the physical effects. They make noise, they move things. If you remember the kinds of spirits that create in the beginning of the movement, when Kardec went to the sessions to see the tables moving, this phenomena is created by this kind of spirits. And many times even the good spirits use them to create this phenomenon for some useful reason. Good spirits, everything they do is for a good reason. So it's a completely different. Okay, so we're gonna see there is a variety, and it's easier to see the imperfection on the language through the message of these spirits, because it's fun, it's easier. Easily they betray themselves. They may come with a how can I say, with kind of posture, and when they start talking, they reveal themselves, and it's very easy because the truth always come out. Even though they try to delude us, they will reveal themselves through the language, and if you are alert, you're going to be able to see it. And Jesus brings us the message that he's telling us to be alert with this kind of spirits when he says don't believe in all the spirits, because not all the spirits are from God. So it's our obligation to identify the spirits, to be attentive to the kind of message we receive, and be responsible for what we read and what we accept. Because many times it may be easier to say, oh, I did this because this kind of spirit told me to do it. No, our responsibility is to analyze the message, check the language, check if the message is going to bring something good for you, for the group, for the community. Good spirits normally doesn't talk just to one people, just to one person. They talk in general. Good spirits bring a message that's going to help people. So it's our obligation to check any message. And you're going to see this again in the Medium's book, or in the chapter, How to Identify the Spirits. So again, they repeat the passage from Jesus when he says, don't believe in all spirits. And there is another passage from Jesus that help us to be alert when checking message. And when you talk about message, it's not only a mediumistic message. The books we receive, the movies we watch on TV, or the books we read, not only spiritist books, but general books. What the kind of message are we reading? Who is influenced by these books? Or who helped to write these books? So it's our obligation to check and see if this is good for us and good for others. But I was saying, another thing that makes us to be alert is the passage of the tree that Jesus taught, that a good tree doesn't produce bad fruits, and a bad tree doesn't produce good fruits. So let's put the two things together. Who brings us good message, right? Here we have the text from Jesus. We can find in the Gospel, chapter 21. Dearly beloved, do not believe all spirits, but test whether the spirits are from God. For many false prophets have appeared in the world. Spiritism offers us the means of trying them when it shows us the characteristic by which we may recognize the good spirits, which are always moral, never material. So the fact we have so many material things doesn't make us a good person. But let's make clear, doesn't mean that everybody who has a lot of material things is not a good person, okay? But the first thing you're going to check is the moral characteristic. Let's go to the second order. Let's go up on this scale. Good spirits. Here we have the general characteristics. These spirits prevail over matter and desire excellence. Their qualities and power to do good match their degree of perfection. While some possess scientific knowledge, others have acquired wisdom and charity. The more advanced spirits combine intelligence with moral superiority. Not yet completely dematerialized, they preserve the traces of their physical existence, which vary greatly according to their rank. These traces are seen either in their method of expression, practices, or even in the quirks and habits still retained by them. If it were not for these weaknesses and imperfections, they would be able to be pure spirits. These spirits, they are already good, but still not pure. They still have to come back to overcome some weaknesses. They still need to improve some part of their qualities. Someone is very dedicated to charity, but they need to develop more intelligence. And you're going to see in the classification. And then you're going to go to the fifth class, because the total of classes that brought by Kardec, we're going to have 10 classes, okay? So now in the fifth class, the benevolent spirits. These spirits shine in their sense of kindness. Maybe they still need to develop intelligence, but they are the kindness. They work only and exclusively for the good of others. And there's something that it's our intention to be, right? Maybe it's something that we are learning every day. And there will be a moment that do good to other is part of us. We don't think twice. Maybe today we still, if you need to help someone, we still, oh, maybe I don't have time. Sometimes you create um, some excuses and don't do what you're supposed to do. But in the future, it's part of us. You're not going to question anything. The fourth class is the learned spirits. These spirits are particularly marked by the vast extent of the knowledge. In this case, of course, they are all good, but the main characteristic of the fourth class is their knowledge. Let's think about the scientists that dedicate their lives to create a medicine that's gonna bring a cure for some disease. They dedicate their lives with scientific areas. Maybe they need to develop another area, but they dedicate their lives with their knowledge. The third class are the wise spirits. They are they have a balance between intelligence and kindness. These spirits are set apart the extremely elevated moral qualities. They know very clear the difference between good and bad. There is no doubt. They have like, I'm gonna read for you because it's very important. Not yet possessing unlimited knowledge, they have an intellectual capacity that enables them to judge people and think correctly. So they have a much bigger vision of everything, the understanding of everything. And in the second class, you have the high spirits, superior spirits. These spirits exemplify scientific knowledge, wisdom, and goodness. The language only displays benevolence, and it is always dignified and elevated, oftentimes sublime. And it's brought to, when I was reading this text, to remind me a passage on the book The Messengers, when Ismalia is doing a prayer for the group that they were treating. And the prayer, I suggest to you guys, if you have a chance, read this book, The Messengers. It's in the chapter, I think it's 21 or 22. But you can look for Prayer of Ismalia. And the language that she uses in this prayer, it's really beautiful. It's bring our hearts, it's touch our hearts. And when André Luiz, when she's finished the prayer, André Luiz look at her whole body illuminates. It's a brilliant light. And then he looks at the spirits that almost in the same level of her. The light that was coming out from these spirits was beautiful also. And then he looked at Aniceto, his guide. It's a beautiful light, but it's not like Ismalia. And then he looked at himself and his friend Vincent. They have a little light. And then they looked another workers, less light than him. And they looked some spirit that they have no light. And it's a good example for us how we can see the advancement or the evolution of each spirit, how advanced is each spirit morally. Because when you compare the light from Ismalia and the light from André Luiz, it's a big difference. But the most important, he already has some light. So if you develop kindness toward others, we have some light to bring out from ourselves. And what you're gonna do, it's gonna make this light grows. So the superior spirits, they come to earth, or they may incarnate on earth to accomplish missions, to help us the earth to advance and to develop. And the ideal is the perfection. And what I think is another point that is very important in this chapter is for us to see this is the path you're going to take. We are destined to be a relatively perfect. So that the path you take to get there is this. You're going to go little by little, going upward, and step by step to become one day a pure spirit. And look at how beautiful. Matter has no influence over these spirits. They are characterized by the moral and intellectual superiority in relation to the spirits of others. They are on the top of the scale. And that's in this order, we have just one class. That's on these spirits gets the top of the ladder of progress, and they don't have the impurities we know about matter. They have no, they do not attach to matter anymore. They are very close to God. They are missionaries. They execute. They are ministries of God. They execute the orders from God. So we're going to imagine the happiness of these spirits, because they are not attached to anything that goes against the God's law. And we know we are only unhappy when you get far away from God's law. Those spirits, they are very close to God. They're messengers, they're ministers. So, and their happiness is to help others. There is a beautiful passage on the book, The Works of the Eternal Life, when a spirit says that the high spirits get very happy when they see a poor soul coming out from the abyss. So the pure spirits, every time they see we evolving, we growing, it's a pure happiness for them. And they appear, they get the top of the ladder, but doesn't mean, okay, now I conquer everything, I don't have to do anything. No, they continue their work in helping God through the universe and bring the harmony to the universe. So, who are the true prophets? Since we talk about the passage from Jesus when he says, don't believe in all spirits, because there are many false prophets. The true prophet reveals himself by his action and is discovered by others, whereas the false prophet declares himself to be a messenger of God. The first is humble and modest. The second is full of himself, speaks with arrogance, and as all who lie appears to be always afraid, he will not be believed. So if you wanna, in a doubt, let's remember of this text, and let's remember what the real superior spirit does. And the pure spirit, I'm going to read again what Kardec says. They genuinely strive to assist human beings in their time of need by motivating them to the love of good or making amends for the faults that keep them from the supreme happiness. They are sometimes called angels, archangels, or seraphim. So they will help us anytime we need. But we need to do our part also. We need to work hard to overcome our weaknesses and to walk towards them. Not only them to come to us, we go in their direction. And since you talk about the pure spirits, the first class, you need to finish our study with the presence of Jesus. Like Simon Pedro de Lima says, Jesus is our model. We know from the Spirit's book that Jesus is our model and guide. And what I'm going to say that Simon Pedro says is the model we copy, the guide we follow. And that's what Jesus is for us. And he has all the characteristics of the pure spirits. And you can find in this beautiful text from Amélia Rodrigues. Jesus, he remains as the most extraordinary being the world has ever known, the incomparable model for humanity, simple and noble. He walks anonymously among the bewildered masses, helping in silence and tenderness, opening the doors for the attainment of plenitude. Compassionate and affable, he is close to you. Seek to live with him. He's simple, he's noble. He walks anonymously and helping in silence. That's our model and guide. So we are very thankful for this opportunity to know a little bit more about the spirits, that in the end, it's knowing about ourselves, having in mind that we have a long path to take. But the best thing is you don't move backward. We always gonna move forward. Maybe we never gonna go back. So you're moving forward to become a better spirit. And when incarnate, to become a better human being. And having Jesus living with us. And having this image of Jesus walking with us, let's close our eyes. Let's elevate our thoughts to God, our Father. Let's thank for this moment that we learn our path to progress and learn that we are not alone, that we have all the support we need, that we have these good spirits that never abandon us, that they inspire us. They bring us the courage, the enthusiasm that you need to live, bring us the inspiration for us to discover our best path, bring us the encouragement to help others, cleaning our hearts, illuminate our minds. We are very thankful for the opportunity to be here together, even though in this distance from each other, but connect by heart, by mind, through this beautiful message from the Spirit's book. Once again, we are very thankful for the opportunity to learn, to develop our heart toward to God. So be it. Thank you, everybody. It's very good to be here, and I hope we can meet again. Thank you, Janaína.
Thank you, Teresa. I'm going to show you a few of the messages we got. We had Linda saying hello.
Yeah, she's the only one call. No, two people calls me Terezoka. She's at the second one.
We had
I love it.
uh,
Yeah.
and Barbara and David. Patricia said hello.
Hello to everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And Adriano said hello. And we had a message in Portuguese. And so, anyway, Teresa, thank you so much. And I really loved when you said, before you would come before Thanksgiving, even though I miss our breakfast,
Yes,
but now we can have you more often. So that's, it's a great tool. So
thank
thank
you
you
very
for
much.
being here and thank you everyone for participating.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.